Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Unplugged. And it's really a joy to come here every Thursday and be surprised, inspired, informed, and really excited by new guests. Now, how do we keep it fresh? Well, for one, we take our time to plan and focus on the themes that we want for the month or the quarter. Usually, the quarter. If you talk to my colleague Yusi, she'll tell you that I have kind of OCD like that. So we we plan for the quarter, and then we research, check the background, check the internet, ask our friends to ask their friends, and then we get hone in and focus on the particular sectors. And this year, this month, we decided the not-for-profit sector. There's so much happening there, and let's just invite our guests. Let's find out who's doing what and see. So this has been us exploring the not-for-profit sector, vast sector, and I think we'll have to come back to it sometime later in the year. So this is me on behalf of Julia Jacks Consulting, saying thank you to everyone who's referred us to a guest, and thank you to all the guests who have so graciously and unfailingly said yes to us. And of course, we love and appreciate all of you who follow us and key into our broadcast live or who go back and watch the replay. Thank you so much. We appreciate you all. Thank you. So this month we have traveled, wow, virtually, not physically. We've traveled to not-for-profits in Port Harcourt, not-for-profits in Calabar, and now we are kind of somewhere, that this is the benefit of being in the virtual space. We're somewhere between Enugu, Abuja, and Lagos, you know. So that's where we are. And we're diving into the theme today, the art of the matter, with Rita Ezenwa-Okoro of Streets Project Foundation, among many other things that she does. And you really should Google her. I don't say this often, but you really should Google her because she is creative entrepreneur. She's a social entrepreneur. She's an entrepreneur in the not-for-profit sector, and she's firing on all cylinders and then some. So, guys, join me as I welcome to Unplugged Lady REO, Rita Ezenwa-Okoro. Welcome, Rita.
Thank you. Thank you. So great to be here.
Okay, we'll just take a minute and bring you on Instagram as well. Okay. I'm getting better at this. I promise you. Okay. There we are. Fantastic.
There we
Hi,
are.
Afyon. Welcome. Good to see you. Good to see you. Okay, so let me read out. I can't read out the whole of Rita's. I like Lady Rio. That's what I call you. I like it when a woman
Yeah.
calls herself lady, so I like Lady Rio, you know. I can't possibly read out all that she has done. I can't. I really can't. That would be like half of the show. That's a fact. But let me just take a snippet. But Google her because this is one lady you will want to talk to. Trust me. She is one lady you want to talk to. You know. Rita Ezenwa Okoro, aka Lady Rio, to me. She's an author, an online show host, the founder and the lead visionary of Street Project Foundation, which is a not for profit organization that uses creative arts and performing arts tools to facilitate opportunities for youth employment, social mobilization, and cross cultural dialogue in Nigeria. We really need that cross cultural dialogue right now. Rita is also the principal communications consultant of ROC, a strategic communications company that provides business owners access to world-class communication solutions in affordable bite sizes. She triples and quadruples. I just love that. I had to keep it in. She triples and quadruples as a business coach and a digital marketing trainer with a bias for women-owned businesses. Okay, ladies, you heard it first here. With a bias for women-owned businesses. Okay, so most recently, I mean, I can't even read her awards. Rita, who holds multiple degrees and awards, received the United Nations Alliance of Civilization and the BMW Group's Intercultural Innovation Award at the Dubai Expo UAE. You have to take me next time. Through her organization, Street Project Foundation. So, guys, welcome with me, Lady Rio. She's my latest best friend.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's so good to be here.
It is good to see you. It really good. It's good to see you. And when we chatted over the weekend, I said I need to go do some due diligence about you, and I was very serious about that. It was just a matter of time before our paths crossed. If you know, you know.
Yeah.
It was just a matter of time before our paths intersected. I just happened to be like if quite a few steps ahead of you, and then you'd be in that same space, and then I'll move somewhere else, and you're taking that space. And hey, girl, we're taking territory. We're taking territory. That's the important
Yes.
thing. So it is a great pleasure for me to meet you virtually today, and I know probably before the middle of this year we are going to meet in person. I have no
I'm
doubt
looking
about that.
I'm looking forward to it so much. Guys, you just need to know that I'm starstruck right now. And anyone who knows me knows I'm not easily star-stricken, if there's any such word. But with Julia, I am starstruck, and I'm sure you guys will get to know why.
Well, well, we are mutually, it's a mutual admiration society. So yeah, Afion, welcome. Smith, Essien, Faye, Kemi, welcome. I can't see the people on Instagram, but welcome. I can't see your names. Last time I touched something there, the whole thing went off. So you know what? I love you all. Thank you. For being there. And if I see your names, I'm going to acknowledge your presence here. So let me get
Someone
this
says
particular.
there's a feedback. Someone says there's a feedback on one of the devices.
Oh, okay.
That's Legal Queen
Legal
on
Queen.
Instagram. Yeah.
Okay. Oh goodness, I don't know what to do about that. Is there still a feedback?
Yeah. Well, they need to tell us those on Instagram.
Please,
But I
please
think
on Instagram, let us know if there's still a feedback. And if you know how to make sure we don't have a feedback, please tell us. Just tell us. Together we do better. So just don't assume I know everything. I don't know everything. I'm ready to learn from you. So please just tell me what to do. I'll do it right away. Please.
Okay.
Okay. So, first question. It's been on my mind. Magicians Without Borders.
You got there. Okay. Yeah, you want me to talk about Magicians Without Borders?
Yeah. How?
Okay, awesome. So one of the things that I refer to myself as is a performance activist. And fortunately, I belong to a community of performance activists, which is put together by an institute called Eastside Institute in New York. And they run a conference called Performing the World Conference, which brings performance activists. We're looking at clowns, magicians, actors, and even people in the academic space who use performance, to drive the work that they do. So, for example, the likes of Patch Adams, who uses
Okay.
his, yes, being a clown to interact with children. He's a pediatrician. Is also part of that community. So it's quite an eclectic community that I belong to, and the Magicians Without Borders was one of the organizations who belongs to that community. And the global director now, who was regional director at the time, who comes from Colombia, uses magic for development, youth development in his country. And if you have a background of Colombia, you know that they're also underdeveloped, and they've got slums, and they've got a lot of young people who need to be alleviated out of poverty. And so seeing the work that we were doing in Street Project Foundation and how we've advanced, and they had taken a cue for some of the work that we do to build their programs, and told me to come on board as a member of the advisory board. So I sit on the board, advising them on what they can do to become sustainable, because it's not easy using creative arts to drive development, and it's been exciting so far. Yes.
I found that really, really intriguing. Very, very interesting. But now, yeah, performance activists, it keys in perfectly. It's great, you know.
Thank you.
So you have a degree in creative arts, media and communication, social therapeutics, certificate in civic leadership. How do all of these come together? I'm sure you have other degrees and certifications that we haven't mentioned. But how do all of this come together and help you do what you do?
At the heart of what I do is creative arts, using creative arts for development. Having a degree in creative arts helped me see see the gap in society and how creative arts was used. Like when I studied creative arts in Unilag, all you could think of at the end of the day is I come out, and because my specialty was in theater arts. Creative arts also had visual arts, and we also had music. My minor was in music. My core was theater arts, and of course, what's expected is that you're going to just join the Nollywood industry. And I remember my final thesis, the last line, and it was on epic theater. And what I stated was, I don't believe in art for art's sake. I believe that art can be used for social transformation. And this was me graduating at age 20. I probably didn't freaking have an idea of what I was talking about. But what I knew was there was more to I had been exposed to, because I really went through school and school went through me. I was involved in stage plays. I left school to do a lot of plays, studied a lot of directors, lighting, sound. I was really immersed in creative arts. Then coming out of school and saying, okay, so what next? And then advertising happened to me. The story of that is quite interesting because I always explored. And my mantra is do what you love. And being a graduate who had finished school at age 20, banks were calling, like, you're a young graduate. That was when the new generation banks were up and looking for young graduates. My parents basically had all the banks like, go and apply, go and do all of that. I knew that wasn't my thing. So during youth service, I got connected to the Ayo Bankole studios and decided that I wanted to train as a sound engineer. I mean, there were lots of crazy things. There are lots of crazy things I was willing to explore just to find myself. And it was in that process that I found advertising, because a lot of people from inside used to come use the studio for voiceover recordings and all of that. A friend of mine was working at Taijo One Kabe at the time, and she was an account manager, and they exposed me to copywriting. I was like, I've been doing this all my life, right? Just conceptualizing and doing all of that.
Yeah.
And I got into advertising, and after years in advertising, was important to I felt was important to get a degree in media and communications, and there was Pan Atlantic at the time. But at the core of it was the creative arts, writing, visualizing, media was at the core of it. And what advertising also helped me do was to understand strategy, not just creating for creating's sake, but creating to sell. So that exposed me to the world of presentation. So for me, I was performing all the time in advertising, because you had to sell, sell, sell,
Absolutely.
until until it got to the point where I didn't just want to sell products. I wanted to sell purpose. I wanted to sell good. And all of my years in advertising, there was always that by the side, because all my years in advertising, street project still existed, but wasn't full blown. And so just seeing that and evolving, it was really an exploration of what the creative arts had to offer. And in that evolvement, the Mandela Washington Fellowship for Young African Leaders happened, and I was already 5 years into the development of Street Project Foundation. Um, and that exposed me to civic leadership and how things are done in the United States. We had the opportunity to meet with leaders of, like, the local government chairman of, they call them heads of councils and mayors. We were able to meet with them and see how they interact, what servant leadership looked like. And that exposure was so critical to deciding that, you know what, I'm going to take a back seat on mainstream advertising, start consulting, and then focus on developing this passion of mine that uses creative arts for development. And then when that happened, I joined the Performing the World community. I got exposed to social therapeutics. And for me, the core was still the creative arts, the arts, and how it can be used for development, how play and performance can be used for development.
Absolutely.
This same career path, or this same concept that people see as non-essential. People enjoy entertainment, but the funding and investments is really limited. I really felt that as a creative artist, there was a lot of not knowing growing that was happening with me, right? I also call it unconscious learning that happens as a result of immersing yourself in improvisation, in theater, in performance, that happened, that made me successful in advertising, and has also enabled me thrive in the not-for-profit space. So at the core of it is the creative arts.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that unconscious learning. That I'm sure at a certain point you must have taken time to reflect on it, because in core corporate sector, they'll call it transferable skills. What are the skills that you've learned that you've transferred, and you took your performance, your love for performance, and then you transferred it to everything else. And then
Yes.
I just want to ask a question, because we've had people from Calabar, we've had people from Port Harcourt, and it seems to be sometimes a struggle to get your head over the parapet, of visibility, right? And I just wonder, how has your location your education, helped you to be, and probably your passion helped you to put your head above the parapet. And what would you advise people who are not in Lagos? Let's just put it as simple as that. Who are doing great work but need that visibility? What do they need to know?
Hmm. That's a beautiful question, and it's made me aware of the fact that yes, location must have also had an exposure, had a lot to do with how I have evolved and developed as a human being. Um, the first thing I'd like to say is when Street Project started and how it started was that I belonged to a community of young people who felt the same way as I did. Um, I was a part of a community development group during my youth service year called, and we called ourselves One House Music Unit. And the whole essence was to use music to create awareness in our community. And so some of the interesting things that we did was we'd go under Ojuelegba Bridge, we'd go under Ikeja Bridge. I guess we watched too many films.
I did. I guess you did.
We set up speakers and it was just amazing. We'd just go with our copper uniforms. The street guys or area boys were always with us. They liked the idea. We just set up our speakers, microphones, put the stage, and we'll gig out, right? And at the time, I was working with Women Optimum Development Foundation. That was where I served, which is run by Mrs. Bimbo Oluede. And so I had access
Fantastic woman.
to
Yeah.
IC. Yes. I had access to IC materials. So I'll bring all of the flyers and all of that had to talk about, ethnic rivalry, any social issue. But our songs were about unity, peace, coming together. So I was exposed to that community. And that helped trigger the idea that, yes, I could actually use the creative arts in a revolutionary way. Number two, when I really decided to go full blown on this and that was in 2008, and that was like 2 years after my service here and just pondering over it, I started selling the idea. I only needed one person. I only needed one person to believe in what I believed in. Just one person. And so every time I always had to reflect on, why am I doing this? What's the purpose? Why am I doing this? Because that's what people want to hear. And I didn't have all the money in the world. I didn't have an office. I mean, I was a junior writer at the time. I had limited resources. But at the time, Facebook happened. I think Facebook had done about 2 or 3 years. Oh, Facebook became my office. Facebook became my office. And that was where I started to sell my idea. So even as one who lived in Lagos, I still needed to be visible. I still needed to share what it is that I was doing, was to look for, how do I use what I have to spread the word about what I'm doing? Also, the office where I was working, or the offices where I had worked before, that community was a community I did a lot of selling. And some of our first interventions were charity works in orphanages, in hospices. The core of what we did was still creative arts, but we had to raise money for food, for notebooks for the kids. For some people had also donated to getting a keyboard and piano lessons for one of the orphanages we had gone to. And I had to raise money for that. And so one of the things that we did was we made T-shirts branded them, and we had like, I had a graffiti logo. We still have a graffiti type logo. So even just envisioning the
Hey,
name,
check it out. I have a graffiti type.
envisioning.
How did I know? I have a graffiti type shirt on. I didn't know. We were destined to Miss Rita.
Yes.
Yeah, I love your
So
logo. I love your logo.
thank you so much. And thanks to all the people who put that together. And that was like Chuka Obi, who first envisioned it. He sketched it out. Um, and it's evolved from there, and they've made it more graphical and good for branding. But then, and the logo was so attractive that people were willing to buy the t-shirts.
Fantastic.
And we sold the t-shirt. Yes. And we sold the t-shirts, and we're able to raise money for a lot of the things that we were doing. Third was, I was willing to invest in my vision. Fortunately, because I also had a paying job, I'm not exaggerating, Auntie Julia. I had to I had to put down about 50% of what I was earning to investing in this vision. So it wasn't just the selling, was also putting my funds in. It really drained me, but it was more like, I believe in this. And if I'm selling this and I want people to be part of this, I must be able to invest in that as well. But communication was key. Writing letters to people to support was very key to at the very start. And the truth was, 5 years into that, someone nominated the organization or me for the Future Awards. So I was being seen, even if it was in my little way, but someone saw what I had done enough to be able to say, you know what, you need to be recognized. And as much as one doesn't do a lot of the things we do for the awards, but they do give you a level of visibility that is needed for the work.
Yeah.
And so that exposed the organization even further. And from then on, I then applied for the Mandela Washington Fellowship because I had a trajectory. So, as one who's trying to get yourself head above water, you've got to be consistent. There was no year that passed without us running a program. There was always a program being run every year. And that way you have a track record that you can then use to apply for grants, to apply for many other things. And just having that track record got me into the Mandela Washington Fellowship. I remember one of the people who interviewed me when I got in eventually, the insight I got was I was the only one across Nigeria who had anything to do with the creative arts. And so that was unique. So it was my unique selling point because there were wonderful people doing great things. You know how young people are entrepreneurial. And so if you must stand out, you must find something that is so unique. And for me in Nigeria, where not many people were doing what I was doing with the creative arts, that was unique. And I got into the program, and from becoming a fellow, it was an upward trajectory from there, because exposure, the international community, and all of that. And then always at every stage, every network that I was exposed to, I leveraged it. So some people get get the opportunity to at least get to the first stage, which is being recognized and being a part of a fellowship or one thing or the other. But what then happens? And not a lot of fellowships give you funding to go to the next level. So it's not all about funding. It's about maximizing the relationships that you have, seen. So you really need to go into it with your eyes open, with your senses, discerning enough to say, this is the person I need to speak to. Find the information. We thrive in information. What's happening? Who funded this? Or what's happening here? Can I be a part of this community? The more communities you can be involved in, the more information you can get, the more networks you can get, and then the more exposure you can enjoy. And that's what we've been doing, and we still do as an organization, and I still do.
This is fabulous because I was just going to ask you, how does someone in Port Harcourt, in Nasarawa, in wherever, get to know about the Mandela Washington Fellowship? But you answered it. I mean, leverage your network. All you need is one person to listen to you and believe in you, and then you can ask her, well, what else is there? You know,
Yes.
what else is there? So that will take me to a poem that you and I discussed, and I'm just going to read a part of it. A poem called, I think it's called Our Deepest Fear by Marion,
Yes, it is.
and it's something
Williams.
like, yeah, Marion Williamson, and it's a bit of it's a mantra for you. Is it a mantra? No, not for you, for digital Amazons. Is it a
For
mantra
all
or an
of our
affirmation
programs.
for all of your programs?
Yes,
Okay.
our programs. When we induct our young people, we get them to recite it every day until they believe it.
Okay. I'm going to just read snippets of this because we
Okay.
can't take it's a long one, but I'll write down the name of the poem, the title of the poem, and the author, poet. So go check it out. It says, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. Hmm. It is a light, not a darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You're a child of God. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. It's a fantastic poem. You need
Yes,
to
it is.
you need to go listen to it. And as she was talking, I think you're not only liberating the young people, there are lots of older people who are in this bondage. There are a lot of people who say, "Oh, but I'm only this, and my education is not that good." I mean, there was someone who said to me, "Oh, things are good for you. You were brought up abroad." I said, "Calabar girl." As I was born in Island Maternity in Lagos, moved from there to Calabar, from Calabar to Ikosekpene, as I spent exactly 18 months in England for my master's degree, and I came back. I am born, bred, buttered, ethic girl. Then they'll go to you, oh, maybe it's the way you look. I'm like, what does genetics have to do with it? It's just an accident of nature. Just an accident of nature. So we could tell ourselves, and so some of you may be here thinking that you play small. You serve no purpose by playing small, because maybe there's somebody waiting for you to open that door, and step through so that they can come through as well and shine. Yes, it's a great poem. My brother is here. I mean, I think it's our greatest fear. Yeah. Let me write it
Yes, our
down here.
deepest.
So our deepest fear. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Our deepest fear. Marianne Williamson, right?
Yes.
Okay. Guys, just go read it, check it out, and I knew the poem for a while and then I forgot it. It's useful for all of us, male, female, whatever age we are. Please read it, please. So you've actually accessed a whole lot of you've answered a whole lot of questions I would have asked on behalf of other people for not for profit. But before we dig into Seed Project Foundation, just
Yeah.
briefly tell us about the Digital Amazons project and what do you plan to do with that?
As one who is still in the industry, in the advertising industry, media and digital space, um, and my experience as a creative, a female creative, who often was the only copywriter in the entire room. Or one out of two creatives, maybe a female copywriter, and maybe they're able to get a graphics designer who's female. But often I was the only female creative throughout my journey in mainstream advertising. And then getting the opportunity to, of course, start Street Project, evolve it, and start designing different programs that would cater for different youth segments of in Nigeria. The idea came whilst brainstorming with my team. That you've been in this space for a long time. This is a gap. This is a problem. I remember almost felt like sometimes it was cool to just be the only female, but no. We should be able to get as many females into the space as possible, because only then can the industry thrive, because it's more balanced when you have enough males and enough females. There are certain products, there's certain brands that require that balance, and even a seat at the table. Because yes, you'd have a lot of females even at management level if you're talking about client service and the rest of them, but how many of them become directors, the heads of the agencies, or the creative directors? There were Yeah, and it's, for me, was a problem, and the only way we can do that is to intentionally get more women into the industry who at least are trained and exposed to every facet of the creative arts. And then fortunately, the Committee of Women in Advertising of the Advertising Agencies Association of Nigeria were holding a cocktail, because I knew there was still something missing in the design, because we really wanted it to be for employability. And like what we sell as NGOs might not be financial profit, but we sell social profit. We must have social profit. And so we couldn't start everything, because at the time we had even gotten Facebook to nod. They gave us a nod because they had established the NG hub somewhere in Yaba. So we had space, we had the idea. We also had people who would, train. But where do they go to? And so I was exposed to, the cocktail, got to meet with the chairman, Mrs. Tope Jemerigbe, and I wrote a letter, and they bought into it, because the whole idea of women in advertising is to get more female leaders in the industry and grooming and mentoring them. So it was a match made in heaven. There was alignment. And we ran 2 pilots where we were able to train a total of 43 young women, out of which, because of our partnership with Women in Advertising, we're able to place about 85% of them on internships, paid internships, across the agencies. And by the time, a lot of the internships were extended too, which was a good thing. But by the time we were done, the outcome was about 12% of them were retained by these agencies, earning an average salary of 108,000 naira. So we're able to track the effectiveness and impact of this program. And so we had to continue. We then got the World Connect to support the program. And then as we speak now, we now have the partnership of the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund and USADF, which is the United States Africa Development Foundation. And they've come together, and we've been tasked to train 200 female creatives. And we're working with WIA on this, and we're hoping to get more sector leaders across all sectors, outdoor and the rest of it, so that we're able to place more.
I think your network is a little bit wonky.
Okay, what was the last thing you heard me say? Can you hear me?
You trained. You have a mandate to train about 200 I think
female creatives in Lagos State.
Okay, female creatives, fantastic. Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes. Okay, I got that in Lagos State. Okay, now I really love that. I'm something of a revolutionary and a rebel myself, and then
Yes.
having gotten them in, the next thing is to get them into that C-suite. That's where we need to get them in.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's where
one step
WIA
at a
comes
time.
in with mentoring. Yes. That's where WIA comes in with mentoring. Because even at the time when there were really few people who you could like look up to because we're mostly males, right? They were there, but it is more, it's refreshing to have another woman to look up to, like I did through your stories. Through your revolutionary stories in the industry.
Okay. Okay. So now to the art and the heart of the matter. Street projects.
I can't hear you anymore.
What's the why? What's the what? I don't know why. You can hear me. Oh, can others hear me? Maybe I need to change my Please let me know if anybody has difficulty hearing me.
Yeah, it's breaking up as you speak.
Just type in the comments, please let me know. It's breaking up. Uh-oh. Let me change. Okay. Let me just change. I'll change the.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you keep speaking? I can hear you on Instagram.
You can hear me now. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Let me put off the. I'll put off the other network. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Oh my goodness. Okay. A live video pause is reconnecting. Okay. Instagram has paused. Okay, it's back. Okay, so the why, the actually just as you guys say, flood me, I'm your lucky. Flood me with information. The Street Project Foundation, flood me, you know. Oh, I think I need to invite you back. Please just hold on a minute. I need to invite you back. You've gone off on Instagram.
Oh, okay.
Yes. How come I can't find you? You're there somehow, but I can't find you. Or do you want to ask to join?
Yes, I'm going to do that.
Okay. We asked to join.
So I've sent your request.
Okay. Okay. I have accepted.
And we're almost back. We're back.
You're back. We're back. You're back.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, great.
Okay. So just like I said, flood me.
Whoa, where do I start with Street Project? I can go on and on, Auntie Julia.
Okay, let's
like
talk
you
about
had
mental
mentioned,
health. Mental health.
Okay.
When you talked about mental health, it resonated with me because a lot of young people. I'm also the mother of a teenager, Gen Zer, and I see that there's a fragility about them. somehow. There's a toughness, but there's a fragility about them. So I just want to know, what are you doing? What are you doing? Yeah.
Yeah. So, one of the innovative things that we do when we convene youth, whether it's through the Creative Youth Bootcamp, through Arts Vocacy that we're currently running, through Street University, there's one piece that must not be missing, and we call it reflection sessions. It was actually based on this that we got the United Nations Intercultural and Innovation Award. And what is reflection sessions? It's a circle of trust where young people from anywhere, from any background, from any state, from any ethnicity, we come together. This space is non-judgmental. It is a space that we co-create from the beginning of the program. We celebrate each other. We talk about our challenges. We bear it all out, and without judgment. It is not a prescriptive space either. It is just a space to air what you feel. But one of the ways we do that is still using performing arts to do that, to express oneself. Because for some teenagers, they might find it difficult just expressing themselves, just like we're talking, like verbally, but might find it much easier drawing what they feel, or find it more easier strumming maybe a guitar and singing about how they feel. That could be the breaker, the icebreaker to open up the conversation. It might be through spoken word. I usually love to do this at our boot camps, get an elevated platform and get them to stand on it and let them perform. And there's an activity that we do that I learned from from Kathy Salit, who is a performance activist in the United States. It's called Performance of a Lifetime. So we tell them to tell us their entire life story in 60 seconds, right? And they can do that using any performance genre, right, that they are comfortable with. And when they do that, they're able to really bring out really true stories that they wouldn't have been able to tell their parents about, or a sibling about, or someone who's really close to them. Which brings up the subject of who's a stranger and what's a stranger. And that's like some philosophical thing that I'm exploring in my, my book. Who are strangers really? Because when you're in this kind of environment, you can talk about anything. And the beauty of having a community is that the moment you share your experience, someone in the circle has a similar experience and can not just empathize, but they feel you, they see you, and they share as well. And then it's almost a tsunami of sharing their different life experiences. And we don't stop anybody, we don't cut them short, we listen. So one of the skills that the young people also learn is how to listen and listen. And then sometimes most times we build on their stories. So if you came with a story that's so sad, right, we'll build on the story and you create what the happy ending should look like. And the reverse might be the case. But in the performance, it becomes more than one person. You're not alone in the creation of what you are becoming or what you would love to become in future. So these are some of the things that we do in the reflection sessions that's very exciting. And because of this and the need for more mental health awareness, we started running a project called Alafia. We piloted it together with a board member who's based in Philadelphia, is a clinical psychologist. We're able to do this because of the Mandela Washington Fellowship. IREX provides what they call like a cross, they call it a reciprocal grant, where the grants is given to an indigene of the United States to come work with us. And so we're able to create 3 vignettes, and there are monologues of young people who are going through a lot, and it comes with a manual. It's currently on YouTube, and the manual is on YouTube for people to download. Youth workers, young people, people who are in the space can use these videos. They're less than 10 minutes long. They watch them, and they can then have heart-to-heart conversations with their community. And there's a manual for that. But really, reflection sessions really
Could I just
opened
stop
up
you
our...
there? Can I just stop you for a hot minute and ask you where on YouTube so I can type it in the comments?
Okay, I'd already shared that with you. See, it's quite a long one. So
okay, is
so
it
I'm sure she'll share that.
Street Project?
The YouTube.
Okay.
No,
All right, I've seen it.
YouTube.
I've seen it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. And so it's amazing what we do in that regard, because it opens up a lot of can of worms in the issues that young people are dealing with. Issues like loneliness, issues like gender-based violence. It's sad to see how many young men and women who have been molested, abused as children by house helps, by siblings, by cousins, by people who are close to them, and as young as 6 years old, as old as university, and having to deal with that and their self-esteem and all of that. It's a lot that our young people are dealing with, and the question is, where do I go? And also persons with disability. A lot of them, persons with disabilities, who are going through a lot, because we live in a country where accessibility is an issue, right? Opportunities. And that's why for a lot of our programs, we say persons with disabilities are encouraged to apply. And it's not just telling them to fill the form and come for the audition. When we don't see them, we go an extra mile to get them involved in the program, because there's a lot of psychological challenges that go on in their heads, and they really need someone to hold their hand, someone to help them, someone to get them to thrive. Yeah.
I wish you had something for older people, because hurt people can only hurt other people, and a lot of people who have molested, hurt, looked down on people, younger people, are people who have felt these things themselves very, very deeply and very sharply, and have not had a way to process it. I mean, I'm a coach as well in one of the hats I wear, and it jumps out at me when I least expect. We probably are talking about work, and somebody just breaks down and cries about, I wish I was 10 years old again. It's like, okay, what happened at 10? I said, nothing happened at 10, but when I was 11, this happened. Or when I was 10 and a half, this happened. So I wish I could go back to the time when it didn't happen, So there's a lot of that happening. And also yesterday, I was talking to my almost 15-year-old, who in her mind is ready to enter her husband's house. So I know it's child abuse, but so I think she needs to find her husband and leave me with my husband. But we were having a conversation yesterday or day before yesterday, and she just told me that sometimes she's an only child, and so she said, Mommy, sometimes I'm really lonely. And some people I think are my friends, they're not really my friends. They're acting in a certain way, etc. And it's hard when you're 14, 15 to say, be patient, it's going to be okay. It's really hard. I remember when I was that child, I was a middle child. My brother is on this. So, I mean, he can testify. I was a middle child. I was that child who always picked up a book or tried to hang out with my mother one way or the other, just because I needed see me, I'm here. I'm not the first, I'm not the prettiest, I'm not the last, I'm not the only boy, but I'm here. I mean, this is my position in your life and your family. So I can only imagine how it is for them, magnified to an nth degree, when social media is telling you. I mean, I'm hanging out with my friends. I mean, we went to my sister and I took my daughter, just call her our daughter, to a restaurant, and there were three beautiful young ladies dressed beautifully. I think between them, they probably had one bottle of Coca-Cola, well, soft drink, not Coca-Cola, soft drink. But what they spent like 45 minutes taking pictures of themselves. They just took selfies and selfies and selfies. And then I was just watching them. That this is going to go on social media to make some other kids feel really bad about themselves. Like, I don't have a life. These girls dressed up, three of them sharing a bottle of soft drink. And so, how does this digital universe add to the loneliness and the mental health issues that our kids have to? I mean, you guys are millennials, you're dealing with it. Gen Zs, there's another gen coming out. I don't know what they're going to be called. But how do we deal with this? How do you scale
Well,
your work? Yeah.
yeah. It's a work in progress. When it comes to mental health, no one it's not a one size fits all. And I think that one just needs to be it's a domain of the unknown, and it's being comfortable trying out new things and seeing what works and what doesn't. Because the truth is, our young people are exposed to a lot, just because they've got the mobile phones, um, and they see a lot of lies. They digest a lot of lies. Very happy faces. Um, people who feel that you have to be styled a certain way to be able to live this life. Um, and and that's really difficult. It's something that I truly can tell you I don't have an answer for. It's something that we're working towards. One thing that we are doing at Street Project Foundation, because I'm also a founding member of a movement called the Global Play Brigade. And this program started after the NSARS movement and all of the crisis that happened with it, and a clamor in our youth community for the need for emotional support. And for the whole of 2000, from 2020 to the end of 2021, we were running emotional support sessions, and they were on WhatsApp and they were on Zoom. And the Global Play Brigade supported our young people with data for them to attend these sessions. And a lot of them are better for it and have become a core member of now the GPB in Nigeria, the Global Play Brigade in Nigeria. And the plan is, how do we use play and performance for emotional health and support? And a lot of them are being trained by people from all over the world, Israel, the UK, all of that, because they training young people who are able to also influence their peers is one way to go about it. Because if you don't understand their language, you don't necessarily understand what they're going through, it's quite difficult to be able to enter their space and be impactful. So it's more, how do you coordinate young people such that they become the leaders, the emotional support leaders that can spread the word of, here are some of the tools to manage your mental health. Here are coping mechanisms.
Thank
This is where
you.
you could go to be able to have that conversation.
So,
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Okay. Who there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Hey,
I'm no
Rita.
longer the. Hi, can you hear me?
I know she's going to come back.
Can you hear me?
Just in case you have any questions, please just we are just ask any questions. Rita has really been giving. Yes, it's young people have been coordinated to lead themselves. Okay, is this still pottery? I've changed the source. Okay, you're back now. Is this still pottery? Is this
Can
still
you hear me
pottery?
now?
I can hear you perfectly. Yes.
Okay. So I'm not on Instagram. I don't see myself on Instagram.
Yes. So no, I don't. Let me just ask UC to help do that, so we can just continue and
Okay.
finish the conversation. Yeah. Maybe we need to go out and come back in. So let me do that. I hope you guys will let
Okay.
us do like a few minutes extra. So you see. Okay. I'm trying to stop it so it can come back, but it is refusing to reconnect to
Okay.
Instagram. You know, but we'll just keep trying. We're stubborn like that. Okay. I'm coming. Oops. Okay. I'm coming in again. Rita, why don't you just keep talking,
Okay.
telling us about it because um, we're checking the network. I think the network on the other phone is okay. It's coming on now. So okay, let's see. Let me in again. Thank you, Lucy. Invitation. Instagram. Okay, I think I sent you an invitation. You sent me an invitation. Let me
Yeah, I
accept your
did.
invitation. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So let's see. I hope it hasn't cancelled itself out. I hope not. I hope not. Oh my goodness. Neither has come on. Okay. Sorry guys, we're just stubborn women. Okay, it still hasn't come on. Neither is that. Okay, you know what? I also know when to call it. I know when to call it as well.
Okay.
But yeah, but we have if you can ask to join again, that
Yeah, I'm
would
doing that.
Because I can't ask again.
I just did.
Okay. Okay. But
Yay! We're back.
are we back?
Oh,
My
yeah.
goodness, persistence pays. Yes, persistence pays. Okay, now, guys, please just give us like 5 minutes because there are a few things that we need to get out of the way, and technology wasn't our friend. I'd like to ask you, what has been one thing, one instance that you've gone through that just broke your heart in Street Project Foundation?
Hmm. That broke my heart in terms of um, the young people that we're
You wish
working
you could
with.
do something. Exactly, exactly. Yeah.
It would be it's gender-based violence. Even as I speak, some of our ambassadors have experienced rape and have called out to me just to get themselves back. Um, and the whole idea of reporting to the police, all of those things don't come straight up. You know, it's almost like we don't when someone is abused, when a young woman is abused, what do you do next? What are the steps, right? Or when a young woman has been abused and then she gets pregnant by her abuser, what next? It is a reoccurring theme when we have our reflection sessions, whatever boot camp that we have. And so even a lot of our stage plays are centered around gender-based violence. Because even some, for our young men, for some of them, it's like the first time they're actually seeing someone they believe is a victim, you know, and it's like the person is close to us. And what can we do to solve the problem? And who can help out? What's the process? Um, there was a young man who came to me and said, "Oh, my sister is in the East, and she says that one of our cousins who's staying with one of our uncles is being abused by the uncle's sons, and they're not taking good care of her. She's almost like she serves like a maid in the house, but she's being abused by his sons. And when she speaks, they say she's
Hmm.
a witch or something else." And we are not-for-profit organizations, and you're like, okay, so who can help in the East truly? And then you try to source for the information, and you hear that if those bodies don't get the funding that they need, they don't function. A lot of the hotlines are not working. So it leaves a lot of us in the development space in limbo as to what do we do? What is the awareness? What are the structures that have been put in place to actually help these women so that when they call on me or call on anyone in the development space, they know where to channel a lot of these things to. Is there a safe house for them, especially for those who are not financially empowered, especially women? We know that a lot of women with children are being harassed. Where are the safe houses? There are structures in place. So this is an area that I feel very helpless. Um, the only way that you'll help them out is just listening to them and saying, well, who's there for them? Who can they go to? Because we had an incident of a young girl who had been raped 3 times. This was like the third time. And she was losing her mind and had to leave the family house where she was in. Luckily for her, she was able to run to her sister who just got married and all of that to settle in. But that it's time limited because you need to be able to source to fed for yourself. You need to get your emotional confidence, your self-esteem back. And so just being a part of that process, which in itself takes time. And there are many, many, many of her in that circumstance. And how do you help out with that? with scale, thinking about scale. And she's doing well now, but I know that on and off, this is a challenge that she's going through. And a space where having shrinks is not such a big deal. I like the fact that we call them life coaches. Um, um, and so that's why we also use the term, reflection sessions as opposed to therapy, so that it doesn't cloud their mind. So the way we creatively handle sessions where young women can talk about these issues without feeling judgment or feeling that they're going to be excommunicated from their communities. Especially this happens in churches a lot and on religious communities, and it's something that we need to work at. Especially in a country that is highly religious like Nigeria, and where the religious leaders have a very, very, very heavy and influential voice. We need to create non-judgmental systems that can help women who have been abused.
Okay, so what that says to me is that we need more collaborations. We need to build more collaborations across different platforms, and
Yes.
build up different scenarios. Think of different scenarios, solutions, possible solutions, workable solutions. Because I mean, you watch TV like I watch TV, and they'll say, okay, maybe you go to the police, have a rape case and stuff like that. Does that even exist? You know.
Yeah.
Interestingly, next month, which is International Women's, I think my first girl is violence, and she's willing to talk about it. She's one of the few people that is willing to talk about it on a platform like this. She does have a platform where she talks about things like. But that's therapy. That's help in a way. But I'll also say, if
Yes.
you do want to engage my services for free, I'm available. I'm available. I'm not going to charge for young girls who just need to do a mind dump. Sometimes they just want to do a mind dump. Just let it go. So I am available. I
Thank
am
you.
available.
Thank
So
you for hearing that.
finally, oh no, at any time, call on me. Yes, call on me. Yes, Isioma, you're very right. An ecosystem of social support is what we need. And we need a very active ecosystem, not just by words. We need the one that works. And we're not here to challenge people from what they're doing. We're here to say, these are our children. These are your children. These are your sons, your daughters, your nieces, your nephews. These are going to be your staff in future. These are going to be your wives, the wives of your. Are we going to keep being damaged? It's a question that we have to actually answer ourselves. But finally, but I'm on that. I'm on that table. I'm on that table, and I'm available anytime. So when you look into your crystal ball, I'm sure you have a crystal ball. When you look into it, Lady Rio, what do you see ahead for you and the Street Projects Foundation?
I see Africa. I see the
Ah,
continent. That's what I see, replicating what we're doing in Nigeria across the continent. A lot of people within my network are clamoring for it, and so it's creating the structures to make that happen, collaborations to make that happen, and to keep evangelizing the power of the creative arts for human development, and seeing how we can even drive it at policy level, because we need a government that is sensitive and progressive in that regard. And one who's driving the whole idea of where are youth centers, right? I know a lot about Lagos and Abuja and what's available. I'd say maybe Lagos is even doing a lot better, but out of over 20 youth centers available, there are only maybe one and a half that's functional. Um,
hmm.
in Abuja, there are lots. They're also very limited. The ones that are available are not being utilized. Nothing is happening. And anyone in development space knows that renting space is a big deal, right? And so if we must have public-private partnership with government, space is a huge deal. We're not just talking about spaces that are dilapidated and spaces that cannot be used, like the toilets are not functioning, all of that. And then you say, come and use it, so that you feel the organization will come and develop the space. No, the government has a role to play in this. And so I'm passionate about driving that policy in terms of making room, actually creating infrastructure for youth development. It's not, we can't pay lip service to this. And so seeing that happen and evangelizing that across Africa is something that I'm passionate about, and I feel is the next phase for the organization.
Okay. I really would be excited about having that kind of thing in South South. We have very high. Maybe I don't want to demonize the South South, and I will not demonize it because that's where I am from and where I live. But we have issues of cultism. We have issues of perhaps playing small, putting yourself in. I mean, I can't do anything else unless I'm in a certain group or working with somebody or holding a bag for somebody or being a slave queen. Ha 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 he he. Okay, I guess I probably hurt a lot of people's feelings. I do apologize a little bit, but there's more to life. And where do slave queens go when they grow older? It's a question. And where do cultists go when they grow older? Or do they live to be older? We want our children to live. That's what we want. And I would, we can't put everything in a project family. There will have to be collaborations and handshakes of to
Yeah.
learn the pilots wherever, yes. Okay. So I don't know if you heard me.
Yeah, you talked about
You did.
collaboration.
Okay. All right. So, well, thank you. We don't have questions. Yes, I talked about collaborations. I talked about uh, growing the oasis until it becomes possibly an ocean. Yes. So we can
Yes,
actually make a difference
yes,
in this area. Okay.
yes,
Okay.
I agree.
Isioma did ask where are youth centers. Isioma, maybe you could ask later, or you could follow her on at Lady Rio. Let me put her on IG and Street Street Projects Foundation.
Foundation. Yeah, and we're currently running a program.
You're on Facebook as well.
Yes, it's the same on Facebook.
Okay. Okay. So she was raising your questions. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay. All right. We have had a very long, and I'm sure we could continue with this conversation, but we have to let people go. And thank you for staying. Thank you so much for staying. You know,
Thank you,
thank you, Rita.
Sioma.
Yes, she says she loves the work you
Yeah,
do. Yes, so do
thank
I.
you so much.
So do I. So do everyone for staying on. Everyone who came on and stayed on. Thank you very much for everybody in IG. And thank you, Yasin. Thank you very much for staying. Thank you, everybody. If you have questions about how she's done so much, and so she's done so much more than we can even discuss in one session of Unplugged, really. So I have you not pencil down, pen down, ink down. Yes. for another session. When we get to the creative industries, yes, we need to talk about the women in the
Yeah,
creative
yeah,
industries.
yeah.
Oh yes, we
I'd
need
like
to
to
talk
let
about
everyone
that.
know, however, that yes, I'd like
Yes.
to let everyone know that there's a call for application open for young people from across the country who's interested. We're running the Creative Youth Boot Camp in April. I'm sure it's going to be shared as well. It's one of the things I shared with UC. So we're doing a call for applications for young people between the ages of 16 to 25 to be a part of our Creative Youth Boot Camp. And our Digital Amazons program is ongoing. Applications are open as we speak. So follow us and you'll get all of the information you need.
Okay, and we will share the information that we have.
Thank you.
Oh, somebody just amplify where the cultists go when they grow old. I don't know. I really don't know. But I'm gonna say thank you, Rita. This has been such an energizing and informative and really, really inspiring session. Really, thank you very much. And I'm gonna be seeing you in the flesh this time. Yes, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, everyone who came on. Thank you, everyone who stayed on. And thank you for being with us. Without you, really, there'll be no us. Thank you. Take care. Rita, bye. Take care of
Bye.
yourself and talk to you soon. Bye bye.
All right.